Evening, I hope all is well. We'll wait one more minute. We have a couple folks coming from a quick meeting, and this was just getting started a minute late. So Ms. Only, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Let me go ahead and call our zoning public hearing meeting to order. And let me ask Ms. Owens to call the roll for members, defendants.
Malinowski.
Here.
Dickerson.
Yes.
McBride.
Here.
Livingston.
Here.
Horatio.
Here.
Kennedy. Manning.
Present.
Myers. Newton.
Here. Newton here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Mr. Price, are there any additions or deletions in reference to the agenda? Mr. Price, you online?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. We did
Are
not
there
have,
any additions, deletions
Deletions.
in reference to the agenda?
no, sir.
Thank you very much. Chair, entertain a motion for adoption of the agenda.
So move.
Second.
Second. Second.
It's properly second. Ms. Only, can you call the roll for the motion to adopt the agenda?
Yes, sir. Malinowski.
Yes.
Dickerson.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Horatio.
Yes.
Kennedy. Manning.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes, ma'am.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Yes. And Mr. Walker did inform me that he had a family matter. He's going to try to call in if he gets an opportunity. Thank you. That brings us to our open public hearing for our zoning meeting, zoning public hearing. And the first item is item 5A, map amendments action item. And that's case number 20-031 MA, Jim Chapman. That's M1 to RM-MD, Rivican Boulevard, tax map number R22807-01-07. And you'll see this item was recommended for approval by both the Planning Commission and staff.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Mallon, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. District 9 has been without representation for some time, and it's my understanding that there are individuals on both sides of this issue, for and against. And so out of respect for the incoming councilwoman who will be sworn in shortly, I would, so that individual can be allowed the opportunity to discuss this with those individuals, I would make a motion to defer this until our next zoning public hearing.
I second it.
It's been moved and properly second for deferral.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
may I be recognized?
yes, Mr. Price, please.
Yes, just for clarity, Councilman Malinowski stated he wanted this deferred until the next zoning public hearing, which would be in December. I think the correct deferment would be until the February.
February.
Your first one in 2021.
You're right, Mr. Price. I forgot there was one in December. I was trying to go past it. So the
Thank
first
you. And Mr. Malinowski, that's also include a public hearing to those folks
the
who,
public hearing and this, yeah, till the first zoning public hearing in 2021.
thank you. Now, to be clarified, I'll ask Ms. Only to call the roll.
I'll see if I can find that.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Dickerson,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes,
Horatio,
Yes.
Kennedy, Manning,
No.
Myers,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
thank you. And Mr. Price, how do we inform individuals who sign up to speak of the action that we took tonight?
We posted the property, and so we can go back out and place deferment stickers on the zoning public hearing. And we also can send another letter out to the adjacent property owners, as we previously did, notifying them that this particular case was will be deferred until February.
Thank you very much. Great. That brings us to item 5A2, case number 20-032 MA, Ron Malva, from RU to GC. That's 4551 Hardscrabble Road, tax map number 20300-04-16. That public hearing is now open. Mr. Price, do we have any comments reference this public hearing?
Yes, sir. We have only one comment for this particular request, and that is from the applicant. If you would like, I can read that into the record, but you all were sent the comment in advance.
Yes, please go ahead and read that for the record, since it's on one and you have approval and disapproval from the bodies. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for your service to the community and your time today. As both the applicant for the 4551 Hardscrabble map amendment and owner of the adjacent retail center, I would appreciate your support rezoning from rural to general commercial. Two concerns pertinent to the amendment request are the classification of Hardscrabble Road as it exists today and impact on the surrounding character of the area. The South Carolina Department of Transportation's plan to widen and upgrade Hardscrabble appears to be underway, with land disturbance aprons already placed along the right-of-way. In an effort to mitigate any concerns, I have preliminary feedback from DOT, and with their recommendation, intend on sharing access to 4551, which would be Hardscrabble Road, with the adjacent center. Thus, the DOT is aware and no new points of access to Hardscrabble will be made. The map amendment will not create new traffic, as the traffic is already present. The character of Hardscrabble has changed lockstep with residential growth of the Northeast, pushing well beyond its boundaries from a decade ago. Commercial development has followed the rooftops to provide necessary services, goods, and food. And non-exhaustive list of existing businesses within the 0.3 miles in either direction are Frank's Discount Tire, Sonic, Sparkle Car Wash, Napa, O'Reilly's, Hope Davis Tire, Walgreens, San Jose Restaurant, Marco's Pizza, Spinks Gas, Bank of America, Publix, and Doctor's Care. Almost directly across from 4551 is a new Murphy's Gas, which opened in 2020. Immediately across from 4551, there are 19 acres of property zoned general commercial. It is my opinion and hope for your support that the character of Hardscrabble Road will not change with a map amendment of 0.88 acres. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Ryan Maltba. And that's the comment, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. That public hearing is now closed. The chair entertains a motion for item 5A2.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Manning, you recognize.
thank you. This is in District 8. The Planning Commission voted to approve unanimously. Staff noted in your packet that while they principally were disapproving based on the comprehensive plan that was done a good number of years ago, that they do recognize that the request to rezone would be compatible with the adjacent land uses. And you heard a lot about that just there from the applicant and the current development patterns along that commercial development. So I would move to approve this request.
Motion, there's second.
Second.
Moving proper second. In discussion. If no discussion is over, can you call for the motion for approval of planning?
Malinowski,
Yes.
Dickerson, McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Horatio,
Yes.
Kennedy, Manning,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. That brings us to item 5A3, case number 20-033 MA. Yanni G. Moravec, RR to HI, 115 Thames Road, tax map number 06600-02-12. That public hearing is now open for that item. Mr. Price, anyone decided to provide comment for this item?
Yes, sir. We have a statement from the applicant along with 3 letters of opposition to the request.
Okay, for the record, can you share them with us?
Yes, sir. And I will read the comments of the applicant. Dear members, Vulcan Materials seeks rezoning of the subject property from rural residential to heavy industrial for future phase use of the existing neighboring Dreyfus Quarry. Rezoning the subject property will not contribute to a detrimental significant community impact through increased activity, but will provide necessary support for the local economy. The subject property aligns with the character of the surrounding development pattern for a parcel location that would otherwise find strained interest and viability for a single-family neighborhood development or neighborhood commercial establishments. The Dreyfus Quarry makes a necessary product for a growing economy and supplies crushed stone aggregate that is used in all types of construction, including homes, schools, hospitals, libraries, commercial construction, places of worship, and of course, roads and bridges. The material is currently shipped to construction sites throughout the metropolitan Columbia area and to sales yards in South Carolina's Low Country, where there is not an available supply of quality granite material for construction. Traffic is unlikely to increase as approval of this application will not increase the market demand for this product. Moreover, no new quarry locations are likely in Richland County. And because Richland County will soon see the closing of the Olympia Mills Quarry, it is imperative to protect those few resources that Richland County has available to it. Vulcan plans to utilize significantly greater buffer areas than those mandated by DHEC, and Vulcan constantly monitors all of its activities to ensure compliance with regulatory limits. All future plans will be subject to DHEC approval with public participation, and all impacts to the surrounding area will be considered and appropriately addressed by Vulcan. Moreover, future reclamations of the site could include reservoirs, subdivisions, campuses, or recreational uses as dictated by the surrounding land uses at the time of reclamation. The Dreyfus Quarry is ideally located in an area that is already considered a mostly heavy industrial area. Its location next to the Richland County landfill and has saved the county literally millions of dollars over the years by providing dirt cover that could be directly moved to the landfill site, often using Vulcan's equipment. Vulcan has proven to be a good neighbor at its locations at the Dreyfus, opened in 1950, and Columbia, opened in 1870s. quarries, and contributed to the economic tax base as well as provided quality jobs. Vulcan looks forward to continuing a relationship with Richland County that is built over the last 150 years for decades into the future. Thanks for your considerable consideration of this application. Yours truly, Jimmy Fleming, Vice President of Permitting and External Affairs, Vulcan Materials Company. And that is it from the
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, didn't he say he had 3 people who were opposed?
Yes, ma'am. We're about to read those. I was just stating that
Okay.
that's it from the applicant.
Yeah, you may go ahead. Thank you.
All right, my name is Pat Vinson. I live at 7323 Monticello Road, but own land at 124 Thames Road next to 115 Thames Road. I agree with staff recommendation to disapprove this request for a zone change. At a meeting held at the Cedar Creek Landowners Association when Vulcan was buying the land from Richland County, as well as the parcel adjacent to mine, the question was asked what they were going to do with the lands they were buying. Mr. Elliot Botsis, VP and GM for Vulcan, repeatedly said they wanted these lands for a buffer zone. He didn't know that someone in this group had called the office in Atlanta and was told they were going to use it for overstock and junk equipment storage. I have to drive through this property to get to mine, and I don't think it will be pretty knowing how their other sites look. I also wonder why they need a HI zoning when their main operation in this area currently has a RU zoning for the property. I respectfully ask that you would uphold your staff's recommendation of denial. Respectfully, William P. Vincent Jr. The next comment is from Cheryl Davis Burrell and says, in reference to case number 20-033 MA, I disapprove because of the dust and noise that would be generated. And then from Timothy Vincent, as I am writing to voice my concern of the request for changing the zoning of the Vulcan property located at 115 Thames Road from a RR to the heavy industrial HI district. This area has been pounded by rock and trash trucks for a long time now. It seems the noise keeps getting closer to the residents who live in the surrounding area. Please support your staff's disapproval recommendation to help slow the growth of this type of activity. We want to give our kids a chance to enjoy a peaceful life as they begin to live and raise their families in the future with these surrounding areas. Thank you for consideration of this matter, Timothy L. Vincent. And that's all we have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Ms. Dickerson, you recognize.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. I sent this out when I got the request from the applicant. I sent it to the Homeowners Association and asked for their input. I did not attend the meeting because of social distancing, and I've just refused to be in a meeting at this particular time because we have the ordinance for social distancing. And so I wasn't even aware that the Park and Recreation wasn't have that building open for a meeting. So that's one of my concerns. Since I did not hear from personally, I did not hear from any of the communities up until tonight. This is when I'm first hearing it. And I don't really have a problem with it. But the fact of the matter is I understand what Mr. Vincent said about retaining that property for a buffer. I was on it from a long time and there was concerns about having a buffer. So since perhaps I will not be here for the third reading on this item, I would love to defer this item to the February meeting so that the new council person can deal with it. So I make a motion to defer. Second.
It's been moving properly second for deferral.
Can I get clarification or can we give one of the letter writers clarification? This isn't discussion or debating the deferral.
Yeah, go ahead. Clarification, go ahead.
Thank you. A question was asked by the one remitter of comments that why was the other property rural? I believe I know the answer to that, but I think that individual should get an answer from staff so they know why it is rural. You could provide that, Mr. Price?
Yes, sir. We can reach out to the applicant and see if we can explain to them, address their questions.
Thank you. That's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further, well, there's a motion for deferral on the floor. Has been second. I'm going to ask Ms. Owens to call the roll for the motion for deferral.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Dickerson,
yes,
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Horatio,
Yes.
Kennedy, Manning,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
That brings us to item 4 on your agenda. That is
Mr. Chair, sorry, maybe I missed that. Was that also, would that be with the zoning public hearing? With the public hearing?
yes, that's it.
yeah,
Well,
I want it with the public hearing,
Thank you.
everything, let everybody be heard at the same time. Thank you.
That brings item 4, case number 20-034MA. Paulette Morin, that's RU to DC, Shop Road and Atlas Road, tax map number R16204-07-06, 09, 08, 09, 10, 11, and 12. That public hearing for that item is now open. Mr. Price, do we have anyone who want to comment on this item?
Yes, we have only one comment for this particular request, and that is from the applicant.
Yes, can you share that with us?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. To Richland County Planning Commission zoning map amendment case number 20-034MA, Shop Road and Atlas Road. I am representing owner applicant Quick Trip Corporation in the intended use of its property at the corner of Shop Road and Atlas Road as one of QT's signature high-end convenience fuel stores. Quick Trip has earned its reputation as a premier owner-operator of well-run, successful stores in all of its business localities. This is a large site at a high-volume intersection. All valuable interest in this prominent intersection has involved businesses dependent on existing heavy traffic counts. The prospect of QT's selection of the site has excited great interest in the neighboring community. QT has confirmed its recognition of legitimate concerns from within the area and has the experience record to assure responsible, neighbor-sensitive planning and operational performance. It is in the county's interest to assure a stable owner-operator in whatever commercial genre anchors and controls these high-profile intersections. QT is well qualified for that role. It is a solid company with broad reach. Its name recognition and reputation will promote continuing diversity of prospective businesses being attracted to Richland County. QT has purchased the property and has a substantial economic stake in its successful development as an enhancement to the community. QT has communicated and met with neighboring constituencies, sought their input, and shared the company's commitment to become an active participant in the community's good growth efforts. This is an opportunity for Richland County to secure a quality corporate citizen with a widely recognizable national reputation and should be deemed an important step in prominence for the region. Quick Trip is committed to doing it right. The neighborhood constituencies have been very receptive to QT's contacts and appear genuinely eager to have this proposed addition to the area. Your assistance in facilitating this effort in the administrative process of approvals will be an important step in boosting and enhancing the economic prospects of one of Richland County's underserved areas. Robert S. Fuller, attorney for the applicant. Those are all the comments.
Thank you. That public hearing is now closed. Ms. Myers, I'm recognizing you for item
Mr.
4.
Chair. Thank you. I'd move to approve it, Mr. Chair, along with the zoning commission's recommendation.
Second.
You heard the motion for approval, just second.
I second
It's moved properly second. In discussion? There being none, I'll ask Ms. Owens to call the roll for the vote reference item 4.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Dickerson,
it. Yes,
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Horatio,
Yes.
Kennedy, Manning, Myers,
Yeah.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. This brings us to item 5. Item 5 is reference the Sunshine Project regarding Richland County.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I know that this is time sensitive and I understand the staff's concerns. I raised several issues in executive session at the Economic Development Committee meeting that have not been spoken to, and I have received calls from literally every chair of a president of every neighborhood association connected to this. I'd like to move to defer both the public hearing and the vote on this to our next meeting. There won't be a meaningful difference between this meeting and that one, but there is a lot of concern about taking this parcel. And I know the staff documents suggest that there are not many houses. This is not much of a residential area, but this borders Mill Creek Estates, Eastway Park, Bluff Estates, Starlight, Arthurtown, all of those communities, minority communities, but communities nonetheless. And they are very concerned. So I'd like to ask to have this item deferred to the December zoning public hearing so that I can continue working with the staff to get better answers for the community prior to us making a decision.
That motion dies for lack of a second.
Did you ask for a second?
I don't always ask for a second.
Okay, let me make my motion again. I've moved. Let me state my motion again.
Yes.
I've moved to defer this item to the December zoning public hearing.
Second.
Let me ask staff just for clarification in terms of the consequences of this particular item in terms of based on any decisions we've already made and the implications it has for this particular project. Just for clarification. And I think especially if Mr. Rubin on the line, if not, Emily Luther, I think, was handling this project.
Yes, sir. The company does it. They want to start building. They want to start moving dirt in December. They don't want to move. They can't move forward with constructing the project until they know that the zoning is correct. So this is time sensitive. We've committed to a December 8th date. Deferring substantially hurts the timeline of the project and our commitment to the company.
I think, Mr. Livingston, just for clarification of what Mr. Rubel just said, I think the reason that I asked the questions prior to tonight was for just that reason. And I'm not certain that anybody answered the questions or even responded to them. So,
Mr. Rubin, could you have, this is the first reading item. Can you have those questions by second reading?
Yes, sir. If we understand what the questions are, we'll be happy to respond to them. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, I've got a question of clarification from Mr. Rubel.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Melancon.
Thank you. I don't know how you could commit to a December 8th date when there has to be 3 readings on this. And after tonight, council does not meet again until December 8th, which would be a second reading. And then a third reading would follow, I think, on December 15th. So your commitment already is out of sorts.
Yep.
Well, it doesn't, it may be council make it, council always have the option to consider a special call meeting, Ms. Melancon, if they need to, if it's urgent enough.
Mr. Chair,
Come here.
can I ask that be what we consider? I don't know that we, I mean, I get what ED is committed, but these communities deserve to be heard too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Ms. Myers, you was making a comment. You threw with that one. I know you mentioned community to be heard, and that's why I said between second, if we did first reading, still have the opportunity for the community to be heard. That's all I'm saying.
Well, this presupposes that we're going to approve it based on Mr. Rubel's commitment that they can begin turning dirt on the 8th.
Will that mean we'll hear from the community before then?
The commitment to turn dirt, they plan on turning dirt on December 1. They just want to minimize the risk. And the company is Mark Anthony Brewing, so we don't have to use the name Project Sunshine anymore.
I just know that the company does not want HI zoning. The staff does.
No, ma'am. The company has to have HI zoning in order to start. We anticipate that we can correct the language with M1 zoning so that they can revert back to it. But for the time being, they absolutely have to have HI.
And if the deal goes differently, you could literally build an airplane in the middle of these people's homes. Mr. Chair, we're now debating a non-debatable motion. I'm happy to table this until the meeting on the 8th, or to have an earlier meeting before the 8th if the staff can help me explain to these communities what's going on. But there have been no meetings with this community, and we are now planning to rezone 200 acres literally in their front yards. And I know that the staff doesn't do this as people's front yards, but it is, to heavy industrial where there was none. And when we did the MIWAN rezoning, we specifically said it would be a narrow change for just 2 acres, and we would not come back and do what it is that we're now doing.
Okay, now you're right. We're not
But
discussing.
this
The
item was
motion-
deferred, so I don't know why we having a.
Mrs. Arnold, can you call the roll for the motion? Ms. Arnold?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair.
Malinowski,
Ms. Arnold?
I'm
I'm
here.
sorry.
Malinowski,
Ms. Newton was trying to talk here and I didn't know.
But this is a deferral, Mr. Malinowski.
We're voting on a motion for deferral. Is there a question for clarification?
Well, Mr. Chair, I was going to see if I could offer a substitute motion.
Yes, you can.
And I'm trying to figure out how to word it, Ms. Myers. It seems to me like there's discussion that we need to have now because there are questions that I have. And so my substitute motion would be that we discuss what your questions are about this rezoning item now, and then establish when we'll talk about it next, because I want to respect the community's concerns and I also want to respect our timeline. But if we vote on deferral right now, I won't be able to ask those questions, but you would be able to make your deferral motion subsequent to that. So again, my motion is that
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question on that?
No, she has the floor right now to make the substitute motion. Then you can.
A substitute motion is fine after deferral debate was made second, so you should make a substitute motion?
Yes.
I'll second that.
Huh?
I second Ms. Newton's motion.
All right.
What is this?
My motion was simply that we discuss the concerns about this item now, that we would have been precluded from doing had the item been deferred.
Second.
Okay.
Ms. Myers, thank you. So I've heard that you have concerns that you want to have addressed and that you have some flexibility.
You got to vote on the motion, Mr. Chair.
Oh, that is correct.
Yes,
sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Malinowski. Ms. Arnold, please call for the vote for Ms. Newton's motion.
yes, sir. Malinowski,
Yeah.
Dickerson,
No.
McBride,
No.
Livingston,
Yes.
Terratio,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Kennedy, Manning, Myers,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Mr. Chair, do I still have the floor?
You have the floor, yes.
So Thank you, colleagues, for allowing us to discuss this item, because I know that we both want to respect what the concerns are for the community. And also we want to make sure that we provide opportunity, should it be the will of the council, to pursue the economic development opportunity. And so I guess, Ms. Myers, my question for you was, if you can share what your questions are for the staff, and if there might be an expedited timeline that we could look at in terms of getting you the answers to your questions without necessarily deferring until our next meeting.
Sure, and I'm in favor of a special called meeting to take this item back up. And I think first, and I asked this question at the original executive session, is there a way to make an exception, because this council has that authority, to the M1 zoning that would allow them, because the M1 zoning specifically precludes alcoholic beverages as a beverage that can be manufactured in M1. Is there a way for this council to make an exception so that this activity that we want undertaken here can be undertaken? And I'm in favor of it too. Mr. Smith told me that no one ever called him and asked him that, and so he was never asked to answer the question. I also spoke with the attorney representing the new entrants to the market, and they're amenable to that. It's just that the staff sees this as the quickest way, and I guess it is, to get to the end goal, but there are other ways, and I think that those other ways provide the same result with no damage. And they're contractual, that's for sure. But I wanted to know if there were some impediment to us doing that, which is less drastic than rezoning this whole 200-acre slot, literally 1 million square feet, to heavy industrial in people's residential back doors. That's the first issue. The second is, even assuming that this is desirable, and I think it is, given that the company really is not desirous of HI zoning. HI zoning, in the staff's view, is necessary because it's the only zoning that we can offer them to manufacture what they're manufacturing in a quick and easy way. They want this to be M1 because they want it to be green, and they want it to remain, you know, they want to put walking trails and other things there for their people. So I wanted to know if there was a way that we could write into the contract that if this reverted to someone else, that they would carry on with that promise, so that we protect, again, the residences in this area and the integrity of an area that we know we don't want to be the manufacturing hub in Richland County. And then the last thing, my concern had to do with, of course, the timing and the representations and the promises that have been made by the staff without the council ever seeing or approving where we are. And Mr. Malinowski's question disclosed just that we've given these promises without any meetings with these communities or any opportunities for their concerns to be heard, so that we could modify what it is that we're doing. So those three things are important to me. I'm in favor of this. I'm just not in favor of the rezoning that the staff has proposed to get us there, because we specifically promised not to do this wholesale heavy industrial rezoning in this area. Thank you, Ms. Newton.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, may I ask Ms. Myers one more question?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Myers, hearing all of your questions and concerns and your willingness to have additional meetings, special call meetings, would you be willing to consider approving this for first reading and then addressing those questions in the interim?
I have unfortunately given the chairs, the presidents of all those HOAs, my good word that until I can explain to them what's going to happen, I'm not going to move to approve a heavy industrial rezoning in their neighborhoods. And that's what this would be. And I do think the way that the staff has presented it does present a skewed view to this council, because this is not the only option. There are other options. This is just the one that the staff prefers.
This is Liberty. Mr. Price, I think you mentioned something at some point in time about the possibility of doing a text amendment at some point reference this project, so that way it could be utilized in M1. Can you explain to me how that would work and what we'll do there?
Yes, sir. We can initiate a text amendment. Of course, it will be based on the guidance of council as to what that text actually would be. But we could initiate a text amendment. However, just kind of looking at the calendar, it will probably be perfected around maybe March of 2021.
And we clearly know, although it's currently heavy industrial, but there's no question about we know what's going there now. And the company agreeable to the M1. So with the text amendment, we'll revert it back to M1. Is how that would work?
I believe there's that question will be answered by Mr. Rubel, because there may be an agreement between the company and Bristol County.
Yeah, I'm telling you, whether the company stated they're willing, to.
Yes, sir. Hey, Miss Emily Luther's on the call. Can I defer to her, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of council, we have included in the incentive agreement the agreement by Mark Anthony Brewing to revert back to M1 when the text amendment, if it is initiated and perfected, as Mr. Price mentioned. The reason why my understanding is that they are pursuing the zoning change at this time is it was a more expedient process, but they have agreed with the county to revert back to M1 once M1 permits their particular use of the property, because as Ms. Myers alluded to, they are interested in a green production and keeping the facility in line with that M1 zoning classification. The only reason they are pursuing the zoning amendment is also because of, Mr. Rubel said, their expedited construction process to open as quickly as possible. In order to receive the investment and money committed for the project, they needed to show that they could use the property in the manner that they have proposed by the time they start turning dirt. And so the zoning change was the mechanism that could happen by the quickest. But ultimately, both the county and Mark Anthony's interests are aligned with respect to keeping that property at M1 once the zoning text amendment could be worked through.
Excuse me. Let me quickly say that I strongly.
Mr. Livingston, I apologize. May I ask Ms. Luther a follow-up question on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify in terms of the company's commitment to revert back to the other zoning classification, if that is a binding commitment.
It's in the incentive agreement that the company and the county, well, the county approved by 3 readings, and that the company has executed as well. So it is a contractual agreement between the 2 entities.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just about to express my concern, recognizing Mrs. Myers' concern. And I'm often concerned too when there's a high zoning district, because I'm concerned about what might go there. But in this case, I know it's going to be there. And I know we'll have an agreement if we do a text amendment, it'll be M1. Also, I know that I don't want to lose the opportunity for the largest investment in Richland County. Since I've been on county council, that's a little while, I know. So that's my concern. And if this was a 3rd reading or something, but this is just only a 1st reading, I don't want to take the chance of losing this opportunity for this project. But if we can do some things between after the 1st reading, which is why we have more than 1 reading, is my concern.
Mr. Chair.
Ms. Dickerson.
First of all, I really have to share Ms. Myers' concerns about the community. And here again, I think is a lot of times when we have to do all these things under different names, hide them, and don't really have them up front. And so the community doesn't know anything about what is going in their community until the last minute. And this is something that, even though it's good for the county, it's not, it may or may not be good for the community. If they would have had some kind of input in the beginning, maybe we wouldn't have this problem. And I think, you know, going forward, something of this magnitude, the community need to have some kind of voice into it. And that's my concern. I mean, those are my comments.
Any further discussion? Ms. Rachel, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my question is just around going back to that contractual agreement. So if there was a, if we did the zoning change and for some reason they did not go back to M1, they would be, I guess, in breach of this contract and perhaps lose incentives. Is that correct?
That is possible. Sorry, this is Emily Luther again. Councilwoman Tracy, that is possible. And a step further, it's in the agreement that is between the county and the state as well. So it's the agreement that encompasses all of their incentives, not just the ones that are delivered by the county.
Okay, so we have good protection there.
I would say that you do, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Livingston,
Ms. Myers,
this is Delia. Thank you, sir. Just want to say, look, as I said, I'm in favor of this development, this investment. What I would like, what I'm specifically requesting on behalf of the communities involved, is that we all consider how long it took us to make decisions on a few of the more controversial housing developments and all of the conversations that we required to be had. I'm simply asking for a week to 7 days, or 5 to 7 days for the communities to actually get an understanding of what you all have just said before we take a vote that Jeff Rubel has just told us essentially is allowing the company to turn dirt. Because when we go back to the community and say, here are the guarantees, what they're going to say is, but you've already done it. And so what you're now doing is coming back to us to placate us and pretend that our voices matter. I'm asking for an opportunity to do what normally gets done, which is just inform the communities of all the precautions we're taking, not to slow Mr. Rubel's guaranteed date down, because we could have, as we have done with other things, we're doing one tonight, a special called meeting for an issue of this kind of, this high level of importance. So that we at least give the community an opportunity to get an understanding and to be heard. I take specific issue with the staff's definition or description of this area as not having many residences. There are tons of residences surrounding this area, and that is part of what this community says is them being ignored. So I just ask that we have even 5 to 7 days. We can come back to this right after Thanksgiving. It'll allow Mr. Rubel to keep his word and them to turn dirt, but it will also allow us to be sure that there aren't avenues short of this one to get it done. Thank you. And I'm happy to put that in the form of a motion. So rather than moving to defer it to our next zoning public hearing, I would move to have just a brief special called meeting on this issue in 5 to 10 days. Oh, but I think Ms. McBride had something before I put forward a motion.
Ms. McBride, you recognize. Ms. Myers, yielding to you.
I'm sorry. Mr. Chair, I want to thank my colleagues who are really interested in the input from the community on this particular case and not on others. That said, it is not uncommon for us to move for first reading and to correct any issues that we may have. And so I'm trying to see what is the difference between if we decide to move it on to first reading it and waiting for another 10 days, because either way, they would get you would get the opportunity to talk with the constituents, which I truly believe we must do. So I don't see, I think in order to work on behalf of both areas, that if we move it forward, should we pass it forward, we would still be guaranteed that the community would have the opportunity for input. And then we don't have to move it any further if we don't get what we need. So I'm sort of torn between why is it that we can't go on and vote on this motion that's on the floor and then at the same time get with the community. Thank you.
Can I just provide an answer to that, Mr. Chair?
Yes, you may respond.
The county's legal department was not consulted on this, and they seem to think they're a way short of what we're doing to fix this. And so I would like Mr. Smith and his team to have an opportunity, since I spoke to him today, I'd like him to have an opportunity to suggest something that would not require heavy industrial zoning in the middle of this residential area.
Just quickly response to that, but first reading wouldn't prevent the attorneys from addressing the issue.
That was my next comment. Thank you.
I don't disagree. I just think that first reading indicates that this is the way we're going rather than that we're considering all ways. But yeah, I don't disagree with you.
Mr. Newton, your motion was just to an opportunity to just discuss this. You didn't have any specifics, did you?
That was, you correctly stated my motion.
Yeah. I'd like to make a substitute motion, and that is we move forward first reading to make sure we provide the opportunity, as Ms. Myers mentioned, for input from the community, so we won't hold the project up. And I think, like I said, that is the reason why we have rereading the times sometimes we need to move something along. So I'll just have, I like the substitute motion, just move forward first reading with the consideration of Ms. Myers' concerns and legal and feedback from legal.
I second that.
Okay, that's
Mr.
substitute
Chair.
motion and move.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I apologize. I apologize. Quickly for clarification, as part of your motion, you are directing the expeditious response to Ms. Myers' questions and concerns?
Yes. That's
okay.
That's
thank you.
Right. Any further discussion on the substitute motion?
Yeah, I want to be sure I'm clear, Mr. On your motion, Mr. Livingston, and also I want to hear from Ms. Myers if she is comfortable with that, with the inclusiveness of her concerns into that motion. Ms. Myers.
Oh, yes, Mr. Chair, am I recognized?
Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I will not be voting in favor of that because I specifically said to the communities who are all offended about this that I would not vote to move this forward without some clarity on what it is that would actually be done so that they would have an understanding that you won't be able to build an airplane in their neighborhood. So no, ma'am, I do not think this is adequate, but I understand Mr. Livingston's point.
Any further discussion? If not, Ms. Nolan, I'm going to ask you to call the roll for the substitute motion for first reading reference this item.
Yes, sir. Malinowski,
Yes.
Dickerson,
I'm going to abstain because I'm not sure I have all of the information that I need, and I'm not clear on what's going on. So I'm going to abstain. If I have to write it, I'll write it. Thank you.
yes, ma'am. McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Horatio,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Kennedy, Manning,
Yes.
Myers,
No.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. That brings us to other business.
There's no other business, sir.
I'm going to take a motion to adjourn, but remember, we will come right back on for the next quick meeting. It should be rather quickly regarding the my place motion we council made
Move to adjourn.
Motion for adjournment.
Second.
It's
Second.
properly second. Ms. Owens, can you call roll for adjournment?
Yes, sir. Malinowski,
Yes.
Dickerson.
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Horatio,
Yes.
Walker, Kennedy, Manning, Myers,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. I'll see y'all in